Thomas Thierst videos are brought to you by my Patreons and viewers like you. Thank you. Being a Thomas the Tank Engine YouTuber, I'm often asked questions like, why don't you touch grass? And to those people I say... But that got me thinking, how many times has Thomas actually touched grass in the series? Grass is one of the first things you think of when you think of the show. The green grassy hills, next to a big blue sky, with Thomas himself in the middle. Grass is fundamental to the appeal of Thomas. That's right, nothing beats Thomas while using grass. Wait, what? So today, I'm finally going to answer the question that nobody asked. How many times has Thomas touched grass in the series? Let's begin. So in order to count how many times Thomas touched grass in the series, we first must define what grass is. Grass is the green thing that grows under your feet. It can often be found outside or in a field. It typically grows in soil, but can also grow in other places, I think. Google defines grass as vegetation consisting of a typical short plant with long, narrow leaves growing wild or cultivated on lawns and pasture, and as fodder crop. So now that we've defined what grass is, let's go through the series and break down every time that Thomas touched grass. The first appearance of Thomas touching grass in the show was in Thomas Comes to Breakfast. In the episode, Thomas's driver says he knows just where to stop.
You know just where to stop, Thomas.
Thomas becomes conceited.
Thomas had become conceited.
And one day, a careless cleaner meddles with the controls.
The careless cleaner had meddled with his controls.
Thomas goes off under his own control and crashes straight into the station master's house.
The house rocked.
And as we can clearly see in these shots, in order for Thomas to get to the house, his wheels would have had to run through the garden, meaning this is the first appearance of Thomas touching grass in the series.
Thomas felt depressed.
He also derails in Thomas Gets Bumped.
Careful, Thomas! But it was too late.
But as you can clearly see here, Thomas derails on ballast, and ballast is not grass.
I can't run without my rails.
The second appearance of Thomas touching grass was in the episode Thomas and the Special Letter. In the episode, Thomas and Oliver are practicing shunting.
Thomas and Oliver practiced with some other coaches.
When Thomas, showing off, rams the buffers too hard. He crashes through the fence and goes down the hill. And you can clearly see in this shot right here, Thomas can be seen touching the grass again. This is the second time that Thomas has touched grass in the series.
But Thomas's front was badly bent.
Next is the episode By George. In the episode, George is causing trouble for the trains.
Bumpy ride on rotten rails. I'm glad it's over.
The silly old steamer paves the way for disaster. When he paves over an old railway crossing,
Tarmac it, said George. So they did.
Thomas, the silly goober, derails on the paved crossing and comes off the track. And you guessed it, touches grass. And then, in Thomas and the Magic Railroad, Thomas has to help Lily go through the Magic Railroad.
Little engines can do big things!
However, once at the top of Muffle Mountain, Thomas falls off and he touches grass.
I left the coal track behind!
Making this the fourth time Thomas touches grass in the series. In the episode Percy Helps Out from Jack in the Pack, Thomas derails and has to be taken by the road to be repaired.
Thomas has had an accident at Maithwaite Crossing.
However, when he derails, he was very clearly seen touching grass.
It's good to be carried for a change.
In Thomas Saves the Day, Thomas has some serious trouble when it comes to the difficult bend. When Annie and Clarabelle go off for their repairs, Thomas is worried he can't use the difficult bend.
I don't know how I'll manage the difficult bend without you, he told his friends.
The guy goes too quickly, and once again, he touches grass. Albeit off-screen. Thomas also derails in the BAFTA-nominated episode Thomas and the Rainbow.
Thomas clipped the telegraph pole and they all came off the tracks.
But as you can clearly see here in this scene, Thomas is nowhere near the grass. Those perennials ain't getting close to you, Thomas. Later, in The Great Discovery, Thomas goes too quickly around a bend.
Thomas was puffing too fast round the bend. He toppled off the track.
and touches grass again. Whoa, thought you would have learned about bends by now, Thomas. Then later in the special, Thomas again goes too fast, shoots across a ravine,
It flew across a ravine.
and touches grass again,
Help! Thomas cried.
bringing us to 6 times Thomas touched grass. Now, it took a while for Thomas to touch grass in the CGI series. He did touch ground of the Blue Mountain Quarry while trying to rescue Luke, but as you can clearly see here, there is no grass in the Blue Mountain Quarry. It wasn't until the Brenner era in Series 17 when Thomas tried to take a shortcut and crashed through the buffers.
Thomas had hit a rotten buffer in the undergrowth, and his wheels had come right off the track.
And he finally touched grass in the CGI series.
What are you doing in there?
I think Brenner really wanted to try and get back to Thomas's roots. Get it? Because grass has roots, and Thomas was taking a new route, and Brenner was going back to Thomas's roots. Get it? Roots! Later, in helping Hero, Thomas feels bad for causing Hero's accident,
Hero's broken, and it's all my fault.
and he is reminded of the Whistling Woods.
Thomas remembered the last time Hero had broken down.
So, Thomas ventures off into the woods to look for Hero's spare parts.
If I can find some of Hero's old spare parts, then he can be fixed.
But when a deer spooks him, he derails and comes off the track into the mud.
And Thomas had come off the track.
Thomas tries to reverse, but he's rendered immobile.
He couldn't pull himself back onto the broken rails.
However, Thomas did not touch grass, meaning this episode doesn't count and the last few seconds of me describing this are totally pointless. You're probably wondering why I tediously spend 5 minutes describing the episode when it didn't even matter. And to that I say, video padding. In the other side of the mountain, Thomas has a gnarly breakaway at the points. He goes flying into a field and crashes. This crash feels like a mix between his one from helping Hero, his one from By George, and his one from Thomas's shortcut. But once again, Thomas does indeed touch the grass, making this the 8th time that Thomas has touched grass, I think. I forgot, I'm not counting anymore. In Bubbling Boilers, when Thomas becomes a runaway, he falls to the side here. And as you can very clearly see in the slowed down footage, he is indeed touching the grass. He makes contact with the grass. Then in the movie Journey Beyond Sodor, when Thomas is trapped at the steelworks thanks to Frankie and Hurricane, Thomas tries to make a daring escape from the steelworks, but the track leading away from the works are unfinished and Thomas derails. However, there is no grass underneath Thomas, meaning that he didn't touch grass here. In fact, I don't think he touched ballast, it just looks like dirt. And the final appearance of Thomas touching grass was in Thomas's fuzzy friend. In the episode, Thomas chases after a stray dog, but he hits a branch on the line and derails himself. And as you can see in this footage, Thomas very clearly makes contact with the grass when he derails, which is interesting. Usually when Thomas derails, he doesn't touch grass. Counting all these appearances up together, that is a grand total of 10 times that Thomas touched grass in the series, which is probably 10 more times than you've touched grass in this entire year. Okay, so obviously I'm joking quite a lot with this video. In online spaces, we do often talk about touching grass. It's basically become a meme at this point. While it is often used as a phrase to mock or clown on people who spend too much time online, I do think there is some truth to it. Like the best memes, this meme gets at something very true to real life. Often people do spend too much time online, bickering and arguing and harassing people they don't even know, constantly being in that toxic headspace, endlessly consuming content and arguing when fighting with people online is a very unhealthy way to go about your life. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the internet. Like, I could spend hours talking about mindless things and reacting to Thomas online and not get sick of it. But I do think it's possible that you can have too much of a good thing. Taking time away from the internet and going out and exploring the world can be really healthy for your soul. Humans are going to like what they like, but it's important to have balance in your life. A balance between the real world and the digital world. Now, that being said, I don't think videos like this one, or any of my videos, are entirely pointless necessarily. Like, it's very easy to say that Thomas trivia videos are pointless and that we should all just go outside and touch grass or something, but I do think that there is a real purpose to these videos. I wouldn't be making them if there wasn't some meaning or purpose behind them. I think when people watch the videos, they're sort of engaging with the information or factoids. They help inform them about Thomas, or in some cases it just entertains them, or it sort of passes time. But it's important to make sure that our passing time doesn't become our main time. I do think there is a meaning behind what we do online, which helps make us more adept with the world around us. But at the same time, I think it's also important to go outside every once in a while and explore your intimate world around you. It doesn't have to be something crazy. Something as simple as 30 minutes away from your phone in the garden or something will do you a world of good. Or even something like meditation for 30 minutes, or praying for 30 minutes, which is really just another form of meditation, but whatever. Or even going for a cycle, or going down to the beach. Anything that just gets you out and away from your phone, or away from your laptop, can be a beneficial thing. Or maybe you have a project you want to work on. Maybe you want to build layouts, or you want to film an episode. Anything that just gets you away from constantly being online all the time. Now look, I know it's a bit ironic, me being a YouTuber who constantly spends hours making videos for online, telling you to go outside. I get it, I know it's very ironic, and I know it's very counterintuitive, but don't worry, my channel will still be here in 30 minutes. And I think getting a break from just constantly being online all the time will do you the world of good. Anything just to help open your mind to the world around you. Much like Thomas, now is your chance to leave the shunting yard and see the world.
Maybe it is time we just go outside and start seeing grass or trees and nature. I don't really like grass. I think I'm going back inside.